I Ain't Gonna Paint No More by Karen Beaumont, illustrated by David Cottrell. One day, my mama caught me painting pictures on the floor, and the ceiling, and the walls, and the curtains, and the door, and I heard my mama holler like I never did before. You ain't gonna paint no more. There he is, and he's in the bathtub, and he's got paint everywhere. I ain't gonna paint no more, no more. I ain't gonna paint no more. So here, his house is all black and white, and there's his paints up there. That's what I say, but there ain't no way that I ain't gonna paint no more. So I take some red and I paint my, so now he's started. What is he gonna paint? Head. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. Ah, what the heck? Gonna paint my, so what rhymes with heck? What's he gonna paint? Neck. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. Still, I just can't rest till I paint my chest. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. Guess there ain't no harm if I paint my, so it's something that rhymes with harm. Arm. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. I ain't gonna paint no more, no more. I ain't gonna paint no more. But I just can't stand not to paint my, what does he have left to paint? His hand. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. Then I see some black, so I paint my, what's it gonna be? It's gonna rhyme with black. Back. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. Like an Easter egg, gonna paint my, I bet you I know what it's gonna be. Leg. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. Still I ain't complete till I paint my, what is he gonna paint now? Feet. Now I ain't gonna paint no more. I ain't gonna paint no more, no more. I ain't gonna paint no more. What? So, there's his mom. But I'm such a nut, gonna paint my, so what rhymes with nut? Y'all don't faint, 'cause there ain't no paint, so I ain't gonna paint no more. He tricked us, he's not gonna rhyme that one. Look at the huge mess he has, the bathtub. Their bathtub is like a swimming pool. There we go. So our craft today is going to be a painting, and this is what it's going to look like when we're done. So we're starting with an empty Ziploc bag. You need to get one that has the good zipper on it, or a zipper that's going to do up nice and tight, so that when you click it closed and zip it, that it stays nice and tight so none of your craft leaks out of the top. So there's a couple different ways that you can work on this. So if you have a flat surface, what I would recommend doing is taking your paint and putting a little bit of each color in, and then sealing up the top, and then taping your bag down onto your flat surface, and then you can use it to make your designs and mix your paints. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to take mine up here on this board after I'm all done and I've got my paint ready, so that you can see me mixing and creating my art. So I'm not using a lot of paint. This is just poster paint or tempera paint from the craft store. You can use acrylic paint or whatever paint you have at home. So this is what we had here. And so that's how much paint I've added for one color. So I found that you didn't really need tons of paint. You could also use a smaller bag if that's all you have. And so these are the three colors I picked. course, you pick whatever colors you like. And then I'm going to put a little bit of red at the top again, just to make sure it's nice and colorful. So I've got my paint closed. So this is my bag. That's what it looks like when you start. And I'm going to start zipping it closed, clicking the sections together. Now I'm going to lay it down and I'm going to smooth it out, and I'm going to get all the air out. So you can't fill it up with air, otherwise when you start to paint with your finger it's going to pop the bag. So I've got as much air out as I can. And then I'm just going to double check to make sure my zipper is closed properly. So you can see my paint already wants to start running together. So I'm going to take this one off and I'm going to show you all the fun ways that you can mix your paint. So I'm going to take one big strip of tape and I'm going to put it along the top of my bag. So that's going to help us with two things. When we're done, we're going to use the tape to seal up the top of our bag, and it's also going to help us to hang it on our board here. So there we go. So if you're working on your flat surface, then you would just do it down here, but I'm working up here. And so I'm just going to take my finger and start blending my paints together. And the texture is really smooth and squishy. Kids are really going to like how that feels on their fingers when they can squish all the paints together. And I'm going to use my whole hand. And then another thing I like to do is to try to write letters in it. So you can use your tip of your finger, not your fingernail, because that'll scratch your bag. And you rub and rub and rub till you can get design inside the paint. You push all the colors out and see them mix. How pretty it looks. So you can see in the center here, my yellow and blue has started to make green. And down here, if I rub, my blue and red is going to start to make purple. So you just keep on doing that for as long as your child or you wants to have fun mixing your paints. So you can write your name. You can make a happy face. And just keep mixing and mixing. If you want to fill the whole bag, then use your fingers and push your colors out to the edge. Mix your colors. So we've got yellow, blue, and red all together over here. And the more you mix, the more colors and the more unique your picture is. So you can just continue to do that. And then when you're done, you pull your picture off of your flat surface or off of your easel. And I would recommend just taking the tape and folding it over on the edge, just to make sure that your zipper bag doesn't get accidentally opened up. And then another neat suggestion is to hang this in a window and see the sun shining through it and see what kind of colors come through the sun. So that's a quick and easy way to do a fun paint craft to go with your painting book.